Hello and welcome back. Been a while since my last video, but new year and hopefully a lot new videos coming. So definitely stay tuned. But today I wanted to talk about different thread types because it is something that I've wondered about. With machine embroidery, there's different types of thread. The most common types of thread you'll be using is polyester or rayon and sometimes metallic. Usually though, you're either going to use polyester or rayon. And when I first started doing embroidery, I bought all my colors in polyester. That's what I still use today. But I was wondering if I should be switching to rayon. I hear it is more lustrous, more shiny, looks better. So I decided to do a little experiment of sewing out the same design in each thread type and comparing how it looks, how it performs, what are some of the differences I noticed or didn't notice, and is it worth switching to rayon or should I stick to polyester? First, let's talk about some background info on the types of threads. So for this experiment that I ran, I made sure to get the same or similar color using the same brand of thread. So I use Madeira thread, and primarily I used polyester, which is called their poly neon. And I made sure to order these sample packets that show each of the colors. So first, just talking about polyester versus rayon. The polyneon is made out of polyester thread and it tends to be a little cheaper than the rayon. The color scheme is going to be actually similar. So this is in Madeira polyester. These are all the colors they offer. And in the rayon, I think it's just, I don't know if it's exactly the same number, but as you can see from looking at the color card, we have polyester on top, rayon at the bottom. They're pretty much identical. So in terms of colors you're looking for, both polyester and rayon are going to offer the same types of color. Now, some of the differences, why you would use polyester versus rayon, from what I'd heard, polyester seems to be more sturdy and rayon is more shiny, lustrous. At least that's what people say. Also worth noting, there are some slight differences in care and how you're going to use it. So on these cards here, we look down here. So these signs right here are like the washing and care instructions. It talks about the maximum temperature the thread can be, how to handle it. And we can see pretty much everything is exactly the same, except right here. So this triangle symbol here actually means bleach. So polyester thread, you can bleach it if you're maybe sewing a name on a work uniform and that uniform is going to be bleached. Polyester thread is okay to use. Rayon thread, however, is not okay to use. So I think that is one of the biggest differences. And then when it comes to metallic thread, care wise, it says maximum temperature is 60 degrees Celsius, and it also has no bleach. So, another thing to keep in mind. Also, the colors available in metallic is going to be less in terms of you're going to get all the major colors, but you're not going to see as many shades. And with the metallic, there's various different thread weights. I've honestly only used the 40 Super Twist, which is their standard one. But you can see there are lots of different effects. You can get like some sparkly colors, some rainbow colors, some pastels, all depending on what you're looking for. And then just to show you physically, so as I said, I typically use polyester, Madeira polyneon. I do sometimes use metallic, usually silver or gold. And then I actually went out and bought this rayon. And I made sure to buy it in a similar color to compare how it looks. The biggest difference, I would say cost wise, is between the polyester and the rayon. Usually polyester is going to be cheaper. So, for example, I believe this is 1100 meters. I buy my thread from All Stitch in the US, and it cost about $4.50, I think, for this size in rayon. This same size in polyester is about $3.50. So $1 difference, but when you're buying hundreds of different colors, it does add up. Now, in terms of initial differences, just looking at the thread, between the polyester and the rayon, there's not too much difference. So these colors, they're not an exact match, but they are pretty close. But just visually looking at them, there's really nothing that I can tell difference. If we look at the metallic up here, it is obviously more shiny. But looking up close at the individual threads, let's take a look. So here, first we have polyester. And then if I grab the rayon and then the metallic, let's look up close. So obviously the metallic looks very different. It's shiny. It's actually metal spun. So that one's gonna be more shiny. But the rayon and the polyester, not really a difference. Feeling them, I don't I don't really notice any difference. I did hear initially when polyester and rayon threads were first made, rayon was actually weaker when it first was created, years ago. It was more shinier, but a little bit more weaker. So people tend to recommend using polyester for more sturdy items, anything that's going to be worn. However, these days, I think with the technology, rayon is pretty sturdy. So now let's take a look at some real life examples. So I went ahead and stitched out the same design with each of the threads, and I made sure to get a design that was professionally digitized. Yes, I can digitize, but wanted to be sure nothing would ruin my test here. So this is the design I got off of Urban Threads. I know their digitizing is great. I wanted a kind of complex design. So this has tatami fills with satin stitches layered on top. So looking at these two first, because they are the most similar. So on the left, this one is the polyester polyneon, and this is the rayon. So when I first saw this, I don't really notice much difference. Obviously, the shades are slightly different, but let's look at each one up close. So this is the polyester, and if I move it around, we can see the different shade of shininess, how the light is reflected. I think that looks okay. And then this is the rayon. And I've been looking at these a lot. I don't this one is a little bit darker, so I don't know if it's because it's slightly darker. My eyes are telling me this is more shiny. I feel like the light reflecting is more noticeable on here, and it might not show on camera, but look up close, you can see the details. I think they are very similar. I can't tell the difference. So from this test, I don't really see a difference. So let's look at the metallic. So the metallic is obviously a lot more shiny, and it does reflect the light a lot more because we have the metal in the thread. And aside from the color being different, I think with the metallic thread, you do see the black fabric a lot more through the leaves here compared to the other ones. Like right here, you can just see the black through. Compared to these, the fabric is hidden a little more. And I think that's just because the metallic thread is maybe slicker, even though they are the same weight of thread. I think it's just smoother and going to show the fabric a lot more. Another thing to note about the metallic thread, especially with this brand, this is the 40 weight. It's technically the same weight as these two. So one thing I like about this thread is when I ran it on my machine, I didn't have to do anything different. I used the same bobbin, same needle. I didn't change the speed. And that's one thing that's Madeira. It's the super twist. They advertise it as you don't have to do anything special with it. So you can just run it as you would normal thread. Some metallics I've seen, they tell you to use a bigger needle or you have to run your machine extra slow. But that's not something I found I'd have to do with Madeira, which is nice. So this is definitely one of the nicer metallic threads I've worked with. It's not as fussy. But overall, if we go back to the overall test, so the metallic is really just to show the difference of how it looks. I definitely will keep using this metallic because I do think it's very nice. But the more important question of what's the difference between polyester and rayon thread? I already have all my colors in polyester. I have probably hundreds of different colors, the whole rainbow. So the question for me was, is it worth it to upgrade to rayon? Should I start buying rayon from now on? Should I replace everything? And from this test, I think the answer is no, I will not be upgrading to rayon, even though it's more expensive and they say it looks a little nicer and shinier. I just don't see a difference. If you see a difference, please let me know. I've been staring at these for hours and I really can't tell what the difference is. If you're new and you're deciding should you buy rayon or polyester, I think it comes down to price. Look at the price difference. Polyester is probably going to be cheaper, and that's fine. Or availability. If you only have rayon available to you, it's fine. I really think the only reason why you wouldn't want to use rayon is, again, if you're going to be embroidering items that are going to be bleached, work uniforms, anything like that, then you are going to specifically want polyester because it's going to hold up to bleach better. I hope you enjoyed this little experiment and let me know if you have any personal preference between rayon or polyester. And we'll see you again for the next video. Thank you.